Salam alaikum. So I wish to share my revert story, and it's obviously complicated. Well, not necessarily. Some people have very simple stories. Mine is quite complicated, I think. I don't want to make it too long, so I am going to keep it as short as I can. So I grew up in South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, and I grew up in an area where we were surrounded by a lot of Muslims, and there were mosques in the area as well. So I used to hear the call to prayer, and probably that is my first interaction, I would say, probably with Muslims, is the call to prayer and living in an area where there were Muslims. So I used to see how they dressed. I grew up as a Catholic in a very Catholic family. We were brought up with all the different articles of faith in Catholicism. So I used to go to church every Sunday. I did my Holy Communion. I used to go to Sunday school class. And I used to see Mother Mary. She used to, they had statues in the church. So Mother Mary, and photos, of course, of Mother Mary. And she always used to wear a scarf on her head. And I noticed that about the Muslims. The Muslim women, they used to wear scarves. So I used to think that they are more pious than we are, because they are observing a part of the religion that has been so-called updated within the Catholic Church. But I viewed the Muslims as more pious than the Christians. So I admired them for that. And I remember one thing specifically that really stood out in my mind was one day when we went to the beach, I saw a Muslim girl going for a swim. And she was dressed in a jalaba, but she kept on wearing her clothes, and she was very piously dressed, and I was very impressed with that. And I thought, wow, they are really committed to their religion in every sphere of their lives. No matter what they do, they are always with Allah. Well, I never said Allah, because I never called him Allah at that stage. They are with God. They're always thinking about God in everything that they do. And I really had admiration for the Muslims. So one time as well, I had this doll. I was given a doll as a gift. I don't remember how old I was, but maybe like 8 years old, I guess, 9 years old. And I actually made a hijab for her. I dressed her in this hijab because I thought she looked so beautiful. And yeah, I mean, these were signs, that I was going to be a Muslim. But only looking back do I realize that they were signs. At the time when it was happening, I didn't realize that. So these were the very early, signs that I was going to become, inshallah, a Muslim. Then I grew up, and I didn't like school when I was growing up. I thought of it rather as a prison, and so I decided when I get older I want to be free. I had thought about maybe becoming a nun, but I thought that's too restrictive, and I was thinking maybe one day I would like to get married and have a family. And I thought, the Muslims have a better deal than we do as Christians, because they get to wear the hijab and be pious, but they can also be married and have children. So I thought, that sounds like a much better idea to me than choosing to be a nun, and then you have a very restrictive life. You can't get married, you can't have children. So I thought, yeah. But anyway, I put that thought to the back burner of my mind, because now was my time. I decided when I finished school, I want to be free. I want to go see the world. I want to experience life. I want to live a little bit. So I got a job. I saved up money, and then I went overseas. And I was very happy going to different countries and exploring the world and being free and having this free lifestyle. And God was there in my mind, but I had put the religion into on the back burner. And I knew that I didn't want to focus on being pious at this time in my life. I had kind of said I had my time when I was in school, and that was like a prison. Now it's my time to be free. So I really did whatever I wanted, and I went wherever I wanted, and I had a very loose kind of a lifestyle, you could say. I didn't live a very moral lifestyle, and I got into all sorts of unsavory things, but I was quite happy, being free. And I have to say that in hindsight, I am glad that I was able to have the opportunity to be the way I wanted to be, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't have had that. So in hindsight, I can say that. But my life was progressing, and I was feeling I'm getting further and further away from what I had originally wanted to be and hoped to be and planned to be in the future. And I was starting to worry a bit about that, and I was finding it difficult to find my way back to being what I was hoping to be, which was eventually I knew I wanted to be a good person, and I wanted to live a good life, and I wanted to be pious. So I didn't know how to bridge the gap between where I was and where I wanted. Anyway, this lifestyle went on for, until I was 35 years old. So I had left South Africa when I was 23 and a half. And I had gone to explore and travel the world. So this lifestyle, footloose and fancy-free, exploring, enjoying the world, sometimes not so much, but, finding out who I am and where I want to be and what I want to do, and that continued until I was 35 years old. Then I found myself in London, and I met my future husband there, the man who was going to be my future husband. He was a Muslim, a Moroccan Muslim, and I learned about Islam through him. And I was ready for changes that I knew I would need to make in my life to get to, to build that bridge, to be that woman that I wanted to be, but I was unable to do it. So he gave me the tools basically through Islam to make me realize that that's what I needed to do, so that I could become this good person that I knew I had always wanted to be. But I had never, it had never been the right time, and it had never happened that way for me. So I was very happy to have been brought to him, and he had been giving me this guidance and information about Islam. And I was learning about Islam, and when I had grown up as a Catholic, I had been very happy with the religion. I didn't question the Trinity because we were told that you have to have faith, and I certainly did have faith, so that wasn't a problem for me. But Islam, I learned about the scientific proofs, and I felt satisfied that Islam had basically proven to me that Jesus was a prophet and he wasn't the Son of God. And that for me was the most difficult point for me to accept, because I felt in the beginning that if I had to become a Muslim, I would be betraying Jesus. And when it was proven to me that Jesus was not in fact the Son of God, but he was the prophet of God, that was like the sealing factor for me. And I was then ready to accept Islam, and I was at peace with the knowledge that I had. And I accepted Islam on the 6th of June 2003, and a week later, the 13th of June 2003, in London, the UK, my future husband proposed and we got married. So I was very, very at peace and happy, and of course I wore the hijab immediately. And I've had ups and downs and challenges, of course, as time has gone on. But I have been very happy that Allah led me to Islam and showed me the right path and gave me the courage to, walk in the path of Islam. And He really gave me everything that I had asked for, and that I had desired and I had wanted, which was the full package and the full deal. which was to have a husband and inshallah to have a family, which is what I have now. I have 2 wonderful sons. So I'm very grateful to Allah for giving me what I had truly needed and truly wanted, so that I could become the person that I'd always wanted to be, which was a pious woman, like those women and Muslims I had grown up around and seen. So I felt really very happy that Allah had given me a way to come into Islam. And I know that there are, and of course I love to hear everybody's story about their conversion story. That's why I decided to do this. And I have shared my story before, but there's so many different platforms to share your story. So yeah, I'm happy to share my story again and again. And yeah, so that's my story, and I just wish everybody all the best. And if there's anybody out there who's listening to this and they're thinking of becoming a Muslim, then may Allah bless you and open the doors for you and open your heart so that you will be able to come into Islam. And He will facilitate that for you and make it easy for you. And may Allah bless us all. Thank you.